Hi, Mario. Nice to hear you again.
Likewise, how are you?
I'm great. This morning I ate a cheeseburger, so I have the power now to discuss whatever I want.
So we are in supernatural powers now, right?
Yes, exactly. We have supernatural powers, and we're ready for any discussion now.
Please, go
Uh,
on.
so we discussed the purpose of religion and other beliefs. What are your thoughts on this topic?
Oh my God, that's so mighty. My understanding of religion has evolved over my life. By definition, I believe religion is a belief in some supernatural powers or power or beings which you cannot prove. I believe today that it has some special purpose, of course, in life. It's not all negative, which I thought when I was younger. My understanding is that different cultures have different religions or beliefs, and therefore they kind of try to convey that religion beliefs to their kids or families or whatever. However, some beliefs are not in my exploring. I found that some beliefs are not just religious. There are some philosophical beliefs in Zen, in Tao Buddhism. They are also beliefs, no matter they are philosophical. How I think about that today? It's kind of shortcut for easier to start your life easier, to have some guidance. So you don't need to live all life details by yourself. It's like a game. You learn, or traffic, let's say. You learn some basic rules so you can play that game, start playing that game by yourself. However, later, we can discuss about that later. Later, I believe that governments and some authorities, especially religious ones, introduced fear or sin or punishment as components to influence, to press that influence into people, into their listeners, and therefore to train the people to follow that belief without any questions. So my understanding is that today the purpose of especially religion beliefs is kind of twisted. What about you?
Before I tell you my opinion, I wanted to ask you, do you think that the purpose of religion is to give people a sense of community and a sense of belonging, maybe?
Yes, like every belief. You always find some points together, but if you there is a problem with that, because if you consider it like a togetherness or connecting one, let's say, society of people,
Or a social club?
let's say social component, that the danger is that in that case you are trapped with a comfort zone. So you identify yourself with something which is not you. If you were born in China, you would be Chinese, right? So if you were born like you were now, but just in different place, you would have different beliefs and different culture. So in my opinion, there should be a balance between inherited belief, which means that culturally inherited religion or whatever that is, and openness to having a personal experience. What do you think? Since you asked me, probably you have some kind of definition you want to explain.
Well, when it comes to the purpose of religion, the main purpose of the Torah is its commandments. So Judaism has a very practical purpose. Judaism has 613 commandments for Jews. Many people know about the 10 commandments, right? But the 10 commandments are only a fraction of the 613 Jewish commandments.
Wow.
Because Jewish commandments are more numerous and more restrictive as a lifestyle, Judaism does not seek converts, right? That's a very beautiful thing about that religion. But it is very important to add that Judaism has 7 commandments for all Gentiles. So Gentiles are non-Jews, So for all humanity, right? And they are the prohibitions of idolatry, blasphemy, homicide, forbidden relations, robbery, eating meat that was taken from a still living animal, and the requirement for societies to establish courts of justice. So these are Gentile commandments within Judaism. Judaism is not only for Jews, it also has commandments for non-Jews, right? And in Judaism, there are beautiful teachings about the status of righteous Gentiles. For example, the Talmud says in Sanhedrin 59a that any Gentile who engages in Torah studies is considered like a high priest. So a non-Jew who studies the Torah is considered like a high priest in the eyes of Judaism. Maimonides, for example, also said that, he said in Laws of Kings 8:11 that any Gentile who accepts these 7 commandments has a share in the world to come. So in Judaism, you do not have to be Jewish to have a share in the world to come. If you are a good person, you receive a reward in this world and the next. So that's something which I think is a very beautiful teaching and a very, very beautiful purpose.
What do you think about your personal, what is your personal benefit in following all those commandments and whatever there is in Torah? What is your personal benefit?
Well, I believe that I receive personal reward in this life, in this world. I sincerely believe that. And I also believe that I will receive an eternal reward in the future world to come, right? So I have the obvious practical benefit is receiving a reward, right? So that's something which is, and of course, on a deeper level, if you have precise and exact commandments in your life, you have meaning in your life, you have purpose, and you have a sense of direction of what is good and what is evil, what to do, what not to do, and so on.
That's exactly what I was saying in the beginning. That's kind of a comfort zone. So you get the package of some rules to follow, and actually if you don't want to, if you are in fear of losing that benefits, or if you are not you personally, but if the person is lazy to explore, and plus fear and plus comfort zone and plus busy schedule, it's very easy to be trapped into definite set of beliefs without personal exploration. In my opinion, it's very important that when we play the game, that we accept the rules which are imposed, have that personal experience, because through personal experience we actually perceive deeper meaning of religion or belief, whatever that is. It's like a Google Maps. Watching Google.
Well, the seven commandments are very basic. So they include the prohibitions of murder and the prohibition of theft. So I don't see how you can have a normal, stable, and healthy society without those commandments, right? So Judaism does not command Gentiles to offer sacrifices. Judaism does not command Gentiles to, eat kosher food. In Judaism, non-Jews do not have an obligation to observe the religious holidays, right? But, without some kind of prohibitions of murder and prohibitions of theft, I don't see how society can function normally in any way.
Well, there are many ways. I think we spoke one time how one of basic rules in the Eastern philosophy is no harm. So that is just one rule. You, of course, in every religious text, you have thousands of lines of everything, but that's just an analysis of the basic rule. If you say basic rule is no harm, that includes all what that 600 commandments have, right?
Jews have 613 commandments, and Gentiles have only 7.
So 7 or 10 or 600 is all is included in that no harm, right? So it's very simple.
I mentioned to you, if I remember correctly, I mentioned to you before that my worry with the no harm principle is that it sounds very abstract. When it comes to self-defense, for instance, do I have the your principle doesn't really offer a specific solution to that issue.
Yes, but you don't think when you go to that level of understanding that you will never harm first. But if somebody attacks you, of course you will have the right to defend yourself, but you will never impose any harm to any being, even the snail or whatever happens around you. Law
is that your subjective interpretation of the principle, or is this something which is codified into some formal religious system?
There are many texts which I didn't have time to study, which explain why is this. It's connected with karma, with being reborn, and so on. But I simplify it to myself, because whenever I face some situation, either if it's about some argument or whatever, I just need to remember no harm in any way. So don't threat people. Don't be harsh in words. Watch when you walk. Watch when you drive. So you are just in the present moment, trying not to harm anyone. It's very simple, actually. You don't need to remember eating this or eating that or whatever happens. And you still have personal experience, because you are not. Your experience is free of too many influences of the mind, because all beliefs, commandments, whatever, are kept in our minds, and that mind often can make personal experience very detached from us.
Another beautiful thing about Judaism is that Judaism has a whole body of text called the Oral Torah, and the Oral Torah includes the specific explanations of the written Torah, right? So in Judaism, you have very, very specific details regarding each commandment. Every single commandment, the 613 Jewish commandments and the 7 Noahide commandments, are found in the 5 books of Moses. But the details of those commandments are not found in the 5 books of Moses, so you need, to practice Judaism correctly, you need that body of text called the Oral Torah, which explain the practical details of those and the practical applications of those commandments. So because I spent so much time studying these details formally with Jews themselves, I feel I have a very good sense of, what to do in each specific situation. And if I don't understand something, I have someone, who can explain something to me and give me some wise advice if I need it.
Yes, when I hear you, that's very interesting. When I hear how you explain this, it's actually like all that religious things go through your mind, and our mind is just one aspect of us. I believe that we live not just from our mind, from our understanding, which can be easily manipulated. So that is one problem when you learn just religion or whatever belief you learn just from your mind. The balance is that you include your mind that's my experience, but you also include a level of your consciousness from your life. So if your commandment is like I don't know, no harm, doesn't matter, but I'm watching the snail on my path, and I'm avoiding that snail. So it's not just I'm thinking no harm, but through my experience, I have experienced that snail is a living being which I'm aware of, and I avoided making harm to that being. And that gives
the problem is that the human mind is limited, of course.
Of course, without consciousness, that's just a train of thought, right? I'm talking about consciousness like a next level after mind. Therefore, consciousness gives us better perspective in our human experience than just the mind. Mind is when you read Google Maps and you read the journey you need to undertake. But that is not the journey. You learn all the stations, you learn all the turns left, turns right. When you need to stop, you plan refueling your car, you plan everything, but that's not the journey. When you engage in the journey, then the fun starts actually, right?
Well, in any event, when I accepted the 7 Noahide commandments, I gained a sense of purpose in my life, and it gives me a true spiritual sense of pleasure to have a deep meaning and practical and specific rules in my life. So that's my personal experience.
Do you explore anything outside of that rules?
Do you mean when it comes to religions, or when it comes to secular studies, or something else?
When we talk about 7 rules, do you explore anything behind that in your religious views? Do you analyze there is maybe another rule which should be implemented from your standpoint, or you just say, okay, somebody prescribed that 7 rules, I'm just following?
So in Judaism, there is a fundamental principle which forbids adding or subtracting commandments. So Jews are not allowed to add or subtract from their 613 commandments, and Gentiles are not allowed to add or subtract from their 7 commandments, right? So for example, I'm not a Jew, and if I wanted to keep a Jewish commandment as a religious obligation, in the eyes of Judaism, that would be forbidden. So the prohibition against adding or subtracting is a fundamental principle of Judaism. So I have no need or desire for additional religious obligations.
Don't you feel that principle of consuming religion kind of limited when you consider how life is rich and how the universe is endless and how many aspects of God you can explore through your way, not just through religious way?
Well, I find spirituality and in some secular studies, as you know, I love languages, I love linguistics. So when I study languages, I believe the complexity of those languages reflects the Creator who created the languages in us. So I find other ways to find spirituality in other things, but when it comes to my specific commandments, I do not add to my 7 commandments, and I do not subtract from them.
That's nice. I believe you are on the path, because my belief is that every religion is like a staircase. You just go to a staircase, and when you go to some level, the new staircase is opening for you. So I don't believe that religious is final or finite, like the life itself. So I believe that's my belief as well. That's partially rooted in my experiences. Therefore, I don't need to study what scripts say. But if I live just simple life without too much mind in my day-to-day conscious living, then I experience that no harm principle, which includes probably thousands of other sub commandments or sub thoughts, in the purest way. And
because the commandments of Judaism are eternal and immutable, the purpose of Judaism is also eternal and immutable. Within that eternal and immutable purpose, you do have some freedom to explore things which interest you, especially when it comes to secular studies, and find meaning and purpose in some other areas which are acceptable within the eyes of Torah law.
That's fantastic. I hope just that there is.
Okay, Mario.
I just hope.
Did you wish to add something else?
I would just add that I wish that all religious organizations, together with governments and all of them who impose some kind of belief or religion, do it without any second thoughts and without manipulation. With that, I'm totally satisfied with our today discussion.
Okay, Mario. Thank you for your time.
Thank you too. It was a pleasure as always.
And as always, we are Godless Judaism.
We discuss atheism, religion, and everything else.